Hello, my name is Prince Casey. I am a student of Software College of IT and E-commerce. My college ID is 160364. This is our presentation video in PowerPoint, and the topic of this presentation is Agile Manifesto and its principles. Let's go through the agendas. First agenda is what is Agile, and second agenda is what is Agile Manifesto, and third is Agile Principles. So now, first of all, what is Agile? Agile software development refers to software development methodology centered around the idea of iterative development where requirements and solutions evolve through collaboration between self-organizing cross-functional teams. The word Agile is derived from Agile Manifesto. So basically, Agile means working together, working in chunks, and delivering the final product to the customer in bit by bit, rather than delivering at the end of the production time. So Agile increase the delivery time instead of all at once. Agile Manifesto. Agile Manifesto in 2001, a group of people got together to discuss about better ways of software development tradition approaches, as the traditional approach was failing in reaching customers' requirement. And after several discussions, they come up with Agile Manifesto. So in 2001, 17 group of software developers got together in they are the 17 group of software engineers. They got together in Utah to resolve the to remove or to replace the traditional way of software development, and they came up with Agile Manifesto. The Agile mentality has four overarching values, differentiating it from traditional software development process. Through this work, we have come to the values. There are four different values derived from the Agile manifestos, and they are individual and interactions over process and tools. So, first value says that individual and interactions should be over process and tools. And second is working software over comprehensive documentation. So first priority should be working software and also comprehensive documentation. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. The customer collaboration should be important than customer negotiation. Responding to change over following a plan. Change in requirements should be main prioritizing then rather than following the plan which was initially created. And there are 12 principles derived of Agile, and the first principle of Agile is our highest priority is to satisfy the customers through early and continuous delivery of valuable softwares. Unlike traditional Unlike traditional approaches to product development, which have notoriously long development cycles, Agile principle encourages minimizing the time between ideation, and launch. The idea is to get a working product in the hands of customer as soon as possible. Doing this successfully means product managers are able to quickly get a minimal viable product out and into the world and use it to get feedback from real customers. This feedback is then fed back into the product development process and used to inform future release. The first main principle of Agile is to satisfy the customers. To satisfy the customers. Second Agile principle: welcome changing requirements even late in the development. Agile process harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. Agile principles and values supports responding to the changes rather than moving forward in spite of time. Agile principles support observing changes, markets, customer need, and competitive threats and changing course when necessary. In the world around us, change is the only constant. Agile principle and the values support responding to the changes rather than moving forward in spite of them. Previous approaches of the product to product development were often change adverse. Detailed, well documented plans were made before the development began and were set in the stone regardless of the new findings. Agile principles support observing change markets, customer needs, and competitive threats and changing course when necessary. So the Agile Principle second derives the product teams are guided by high level strategic goals and perhaps even themes below those goals. Those product department successes is measured against processes towards the strategic goal rather than by delivery of the future sets. Agile Principle third delivery deliver working deliver working software frequently from a couple of weeks to a couple of months with a preference to the shorter time scale. Agile philosophy favors breaking up product development into smaller components and shipping those components frequently using an agile approach. Therefore, and building in more frequent mini release of product can spread the product overall development. So basically shown in the picture, there is one the whole given is water process, which is a mass of product or single products delivered at the same time, which give most more stress to the team and development team, the programmers and customers as well as the clients. But in the agile process, the products are delivered in chunks from week to week or month to month rather than delivering it as a whole. Agile philosophy favors breaking a product's development into small components and shipping the components frequently using an agile approach, therefore, and building in more frequent mini release of the product. Agile development cycles, often called sprints or iteration, break down products initiative into smaller chunks that can be completed in set time frame. Often this time frame is between 2 and 4 weeks, which truly is a sprint if you consider the marathon like development cycle, waterfall items often follow. Let's go to Agile Principle 4. Business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. Communication is a critical component of any project or team success, and Agile Principle essentially mandate that it's a daily event. Uh, as a proverb was saying, it takes a village to raise a child, they say, and that applies to product as well. So business people and the developers, as shown in the picture, should most uh, communicate to understand what's going on in the project. Uh, Business people or clients may not understand the technical part of the project, so developer must uh, verify or clarify them, as well as the requirements may not be clear to developers or the team, so the customer and the client should specify what the real requirements are. A successful product requires insight from the business and technical side of an organization, which can only happen if these two teams work together constantly. Regularly, communication between business people and developers helps improve alignment across the organization by building trust and transparency. Now, Agile Principle 5. Build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. A key part of the Agile philosophy is empowering individuals and teams through trust and autonomy. The Agile team needs to be carefully built to include the right people and skill sets to get the job done. And responsibility need to be clearly defined before the beginning of the project. Once the work has begun, however, there is no place in Agile for micromanagement or hand holding. So Agile Principle 5 states that the team should be motivated rather than discouraged or given them stress. For example, if the manager of the team uh, always argues or give them stress about the deadlines and the work done or must be done, then the team or the team members may get dissatisfied and they may not be ready to work. Agile software development emphasizes on team culture. It concentrates more on factor which builds trust in the team. Agile strongly believes that these are reasons for the teams as well as software success. Agile Principle 5. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. Agile Principle 6 clearly states that face-to-face communication is very, very important in building a successful software or a project. Agile development encourages face-to-face conversation as it is a better compared to email or phone. Face-to-face conversation can be more effective than by email or phone. Agile prefers daily stand-up meetings, sprint planning meetings, frequent demos, peer programmings. With so many distributed or remote development teams these days, this principle gets a bit critic, but at the root of it, effective communication with the developer means getting this conversation out of Slack and email and favoring more human interaction. But it can be also be done by video conference calls. The overall objective behind this principle is to encourage product people and developers to truly communicate in real time about the product requirements and the high level strategy driven driving those things. Now, the Agile Principle 7. The working software is primary measure of progress. In agile development, progress and success is measured by working software. For example, the component of the software that is ready to get delivered to the customer or that is already been delivered to the customer. Designing and releasing minimum viable features rather than fully developed feature sets means feature sets means thinking first and foremost about the smallest thing we can ship to start getting customer feedback and validate as we can continue to build software. So working software, that means for example, if Agile team is developing a website, first of all, they release the login and the dashboard so that the customer can get the some part of the some of their software or the website, and they can use the login as to give them the feedback what necessary other requirements or other features must be added into the website. Agile Principle 8. Agile progresses prompts sustainable development. The sponsor, developer, and users should be able to maintain constant pace indefinitely. Keeping up with the demanding rapid release schedule can be taxing on the team, especially if expectations are set too high. Agile Principle encourages us to be mindful of this and set realistic, clear expectations. The idea is to keep morale high and improve work life balancing to prevent burnout and turnover among members of cross functional teams. Agile Principle encourages us to be mindful of these, set realistic, clear expectations. Before every sprint, careful consideration of the amount of the work that can be committed to is made. Development teams don't overpromises over what they can and cannot deliver. Effort estimations are a common practice in setting output expectation for development teams. So basically, Agile Principle 8 believes in sustainable development and to maintain a constant pace for successful project development. In this case, we can example by referencing the marathon and short, short 200 or 300 minute relay. In the marathon, player or the participant must must have or must maintain a constant pace rather than going too fast. But in a short relay, uh, the participant or the player must run as fast as it can. But the better way is to have a sustainable development and to maintain a constant pace. That also applies in software development. Now, Agile Principle 9, continuous attention to technical excellency and good design enhances agility. While the Agile philosophy encourages the shorter cycles of frequent release, it also puts emphasis on the importance of keeping things neat and tidy so they don't cause problems in the future. Product managers often forget about the aspects of the development because they mostly don't spend their day through their product's code base, but it is still the uttermost importance to them. Agile development focuses on extreme quality, customer satisfaction, and product quality, and along with this, it takes to care of quality as well as followed by best agile development practices such as uh, unit testing, clean code, acceptance testing, and continuous delivery, architecture and design, test-driven development. Think about testing, test automations, and specification by example, continuous iterations. Those are all the technical excellence which must be in Agile. Agile Principle 10. Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done, is essential. Agile development always keeps the software simple, workable, and easy to maintain. Traditionally, developed traditionally developed software products are complex due to cumbersome designs. Uh, Everybody probably have heard about the 80-20 rule. The concept is that you can usually get 80% of your intended result with 20% of the work. Agile principle encourages thinking this way, doing the things that can have most impact. In the product management context, this means having a laser sharp focus on organizing object and making some cutthroat prioritization decisions. Agile principle discourages building merely for the sake of building, emphasizes the importance of being strategic and building with purpose. As given in the picture, simple things are always easy to understand and always easy to use. The best architecture, governments, and design emerges from a self-organizing team. Agile clearly needs to have a self-organizing team rather than a certain people or certain group of people maintaining the team, whole team, that acquiring to do something and to do not do something rather than Agile really requires the self-organizing team. Agile principles suggest the use of self-organizing team which work with a more flat management style where decisions are made as a group rather than by a singular manager or management team. So it clearly states that the project must be handled by a team rather than a manager or a project manager who gives every decision and not allow the team to make any of the decision. In traditional software development methodologies, you will often see a pyramid shaped team where management make key decisions. The upper level, higher level manager or the project manager, they make the key decision for contributors. Agile principle suggests the use of self-organizing team which work with a more flat management style where decisions are made as a group. A self-organizing team are autonomous group within the organization who take control and responsibility over the respective projects and have ownership of their those area. For example, coding, designing, whatever, and etc. Different organizations practice this principle differently. For example, Spotify uses uses a product squad to practice this. And the last agile principle is at regular interval the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tune and adjust its behavior. In traditional software development approach, team will be waiting till the end of the project conduct um, till the end of the project to conduct the post project review. But in agile software development, emphasize continuous review. Team member can give feedback to the team members or to process at any time, any point of time. Inspecting and adapting continuously solve many of the repetitive issue experienced by many teams and projects. So in Agile, the team members can give feedbacks to the team members or any process or any coding at any point of time. They can use their experience gained in their time period for working in any 10 companies and to share with the team to make the software or the project look good. Experimentation and testing is not limited to the product only. Agile teams are encouraged to experiment with their process. You may think you are already doing something well, only to experiment with a revised version of the process and discover an even more efficient method. Experimenting with your process and team is just as important as experimenting with the software you're building. These are the references I used to, yeah, I used as a research. Thank you very much.